The Godfather Part 2. Can I be honest? Can I be honest? This is the best sequel since the New Testament. I'm talking the Bible New Testament. Happy Mother's Day. Am I centered? We recording? We recording. I'm in a good spot. How's your shirt looking? Make sure you're sitting up straight. The was that? Okay, that was weird. I can't have that with Siri constantly going on. What's good with it, people? Welcome to the Joe Blacula Perspective Presents Behind the Curtain, where I will either be reviewing or revisiting movies and sharing my honest thoughts and opinions on them. And I am your host, the infamous Joe Blacula. Cue my drop.
Joe Blacula.
Thank you kindly. So let me say this much. This is a long pause. I am absolutely not going to be able to wrap this up in 5 minutes. Man, if you got a short attention span or you don't want to be here for long, you need to hit the door right now. Exercise your exit options. Where this movie is taking place like over 50 years, 2 different continents, all kind of family drama. You can't sum this movie up completely in 5 minutes. You just can't do it. This is not one of those movies. You can't do that. I'm not gonna do that. At first I was fighting, trying to figure out how I could get this, how I can truncate my whole thoughts as far as this movie is concerned and get it done in 5 minutes. I can't do it. It might be a couple of hundred other people reviewing this movie. Go find them. That's it, that's all. Okay, these are my top 5 sequels of all time. Number 5, Rocky 2. Number 4, Spider-Man 2. Number 3, The Dark Knight. Number 2, The Empire Strikes Back. And number 1, Godfather Part 2. Francis Ford Coppola is back at it again with Part 2, or the second installment of the family Corleone trinity of movies with The Godfather Part 2. Alright, so here's the thing. Can I read this? Will you be able to tell that I'm looking at the screen? The Godfather Part 2 is a 200-minute, which is 3 hours and 20 minutes, crime drama, which was released in theaters on December 20th, 1974. Rated R for scenes of violence and brief nudity. Is written by Mario Puzo and Francis Ford Coppola, and once again directed by Francis Ford Coppola. The Godfather Part 2 was nominated for 11 Academy Awards in 1975, walked away with 8 of them. I mentioned in my review for Godfather Part 1 that Paramount Pictures had brought it to Francis Ford Coppola that they didn't feel that there were enough scenes of violence in Godfather Part 1. Well, I actually sat down and counted the actual scenes, and there are 16 counts of violence in Godfather Part 1. Even including when Don Vito died in the orange patch and the unseen respectful death of my man Tessio. Now, what I failed to mention is that the scene where Carlo Rizzi chased Talia Shire's character of Connie around the dining room table, whipping her with that belt, Connie played respectfully by Talia Shire, who also was the sister of the director, Francis Ford Coppola. That scene was written in specifically to satisfy the needs of Paramount. Another sidebar. Paramount, at a certain point in Godfather Part 1, considered replacing Coppola as director and even considered replacing Al Pacino as Michael. It was a scene in the restaurant in Godfather Part 1 where Michael shot the cop and shot the Turk Salozzo. That convinced them to keep Al on to play the lead role of Michael Corleone. But even initially, they wanted the character to have a bigger name like Robert Redford. Now, true indeed, there are blue-eyed, blonde-haired Italians. But Francis Ford Coppola, standing true to his craft, stated specifically that he wanted his lead actor of Michael Corleone, as he proudly put it, to wear the mark of Sicily on his face. Plus, I honestly think The Godfather Part 1 would have been a totally different movie if you'd have had Robert Redford playing Michael Corleone. I don't think that would have worked. All right, let's get this plot out the way. Godfather Part 2 once again is a family movie, and this time around it goes even deeper into the history of the Corleone family. Now, just because Marlon Brando isn't physically in Godfather Part 2, he haunts this cinematic masterpiece like a ghost, and his presence is everywhere. All right, Fade up from black, Paramount Pictures. We see a shot of Mike. Mike is getting his ring finger kissed. Well, we see a shot of the empty chair, clearly expressing to me that Mike is the head of the Corleone family, but that's Don Vito's chair, and Don Vito will always and only be the Godfather. That was a good one. Okay, now, the first character that we're reintroduced to is Connie, the sister. She shows up to the communion event for her nephew, kisses Mama Corleone, who I'm always glad to see, especially seeing that she's only in like 6 scenes of the movie before they kill her off as well. They never really say why she dies. Maybe I'm thinking Mike got pissed off at her as well. Another sidebar, when I was a little boy, as usual, it was a pizza called Mama Celeste Pizza. I actually grew up thinking that Mama Corleone or Morgana King was Mama Celeste. We're still at the event. We meet Senator Geary, who completely butchers the Corleone last name during the presentation of an endowment check that was given to the university, but find out a little later that he knows damn well how to pronounce the last name, but was just being disrespectful and establishing or attempting to establish his authority during a meeting that they have. In that same scene, Kay Adams Corleone is shown. Now, every time I watch this movie, I always look at how uncomfortable she looks shaking the senator's hand on that damn stage. Back to Connie. We see that since Mike had her husband Carlo choked out, that Connie has become a thought of sorts. Or as Mike lets her know, that men have been using her like a whore, those were his words, and that the ink from her last divorce hasn't even dried yet, and she's at the event asking him for money to go on a cruise with this new cat Merle, who suspiciously fades to black at some point during this movie as well. Mike is cutthroat, man. Next, we meet my man Frank Pentangeli, or Frankie Five Angels. Now, Frank actually is the replacement for Pete Flat. Why can't I say fat? Pete Fat Clemenza. Next, we meet Pete, who's actually the replacement for Pete Fat Clemenza, whose character was written out and changed due to the fact that the actor that whose character was written out and changed due to the fact that the actor that played, who's actually the replacement for Pete Fat Clemenza, who's that time I damn near got it, but I can't breathe. Whose character was written out and changed due to the fact that the actor that played Fat Clemenza wanted a raise and Paramount wasn't hearing it. Middle child Fredo Corleone is back and is more Fredo than ever. I got a soft spot in my heart for Fredo, man. What was that line from Game of Thrones? What did dude say? Was it the bastards and the broken? Cripples, bastards, and broken things. I have a tender spot in my heart for cripples and bastards and broken things. Okay, yeah, then that's definitely Fredo. Al Neary is back along with Tom Hagen, where we established early that for whatever reason, Mike is giving his adopted brother / consigliere / family attorney the side eye. Spoiler alert, there's an assassination attempt on Michael on the compound. The subtle things that are shown but not said is once again that unspoken stress between Kay and Mike. Kay gives Mike this look while she's holding the children. The look is, dude, I don't like you. Mike's look is, what do you want from me? One dog goes this way, another one goes that way. The movie story is already complicated and multi-layered. So let's now add to the fact that there's an alternate story in an alternate timeline focusing on a young, establishing himself in the world Don Vito Corleone, who is being played by a young Robert De Niro. We're introduced to the first member of his growing mob family, the infamous Jenko, played by Frank Severo, who is best known for playing Frankie Carbone in Goodfellas. Also in the 1917 timeline, we meet a young Pete Fat Clemenza, the second member of the family, played by a young Bruno Kirby. He's introduced to him before the fact. Pete throws a rock or something at Vito's bathroom window, asks him if he speaks Italian, but then Pete throws this bag across the gangway and Vito catches it. He takes the bag, he puts it in the bathtub. Being smart, he gets up and closes the bathroom door. He opens up the bag or the towel or sheet, blanket, whatever it is, and he looks at it. Come to find out there's a bunch of guns in there. So a little while after that, Pete runs into Vito on the street. He kind of just like blends into him. You don't even see Pete walk up. He just kind of just fades into him. And he asks him, he was like, did you look in that sheet? Did you look at my stuff? And Vito was like, no, I don't deal with stuff that don't pertain to me. And Pete was like, oh, that's a good look. Appreciate you. Now, I don't think Pete believed him though, but I mean, what the hell, you know? At least he took the effort to lie. We bounce back to the current timeline, which I think is 1940 something. I'm not really sure. Mike is on the train to Miami to meet with Emperor Palpatine, also known as Hyman Roth. Mike has a sit down with Roth where he's trying to feel out if Hyman knows anything about the assassination attempt. Hyman peeps game and is not going. Mike goes back to New York, pops up on Pentangeli, who now lives in the former Corleone compound. And Mike is mad disrespectful to Pentangeli, yelling at this grown man in his house, regardless that this used to be his dad's former study. That is this man's house now. I think that this is the most honest with anyone that Mike is in this entire movie, in this scene that he's having with Frankie Five Angels in the study. In this scene came one of the most popular one-liners from the Godfather trilogy, which it is known for.
He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Wow. At the age that I am now, I'm still trying to figure that one out. I mean, I understand it, but I just can't fathom keeping someone around me that I gotta constantly keep my eye. You know what, now that I think about it, maybe that actually means I don't trust you, but if I keep you around me, then at least I'll know what you're doing at all times. Yeah. Moving along. I mean, is this a review or am I actually giving the whole damn movie? Moving along. This is what happens when you're shooting material by yourself. You have no director. There's a scene in the bar when Pentangeli goes to have this meeting with the Rosado brothers that Pentangeli does not want to have. But Mike convinces him to do so, and Frank gets his life attempted and choked out. The person that's doing the choking is played by Danny Aiello, known to most as Sal from the movie Do the Right Thing. Another sidebar, I remember I was working around the crib in my basement over at 7653 South Dobson, my childhood home. And in my living room area, I used to always have like a movie playing on repeat. And one day while I was working, I had The Godfather Part 2 playing. I hear this voice say, Michael Corleone says hello.
Michael Corleone says hello.
And I'm like, what the hell? I recognize that voice. And Danny Aiello could yell.
Close the fucking door!
I mean, this dude had a yell.
You open your fucking mouth, booyah!
The way he would like yell, like it's this scene in Harlem Nights where he's sitting talking with Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor. He expresses to them the fact that he isn't happy with his life and where he's living, in the type of house that he's living. The word that he used, I think, is hovel.
So when I see you guys with the fancy suits and cars and nice houses, and I'm living in a fucking hovel! I mean, that bothers me.
I'd never heard that word before, but his yell, Danny Aiello's voice, is unmistakable. And I looked.
You open your fucking mouth, booyah!
I'm like, man, that's Danny Aiello. And I think I checked the credits, and I don't think he was, I don't think he's in the credits, but he is in the movie, in that scene, choking out Frankie Five Angels.
Michael Corleone says hello.
Buscetta. While on the train, we meet Buscetta, who is Michael Corleone's new bodyguard. Now, I had to look up this dude's name because they never address this cat, never have a convo with him, and Buscetta never says one word for the entire movie. Now, I label this one as heavy scene. Mike goes to Havana to have a business meeting with Hyman Roth, where they are supposed to be finalizing the casino purchase. Fredo arrives with a briefcase filled with $2 million. Now, I never understood how $2 million could fit in a briefcase. Maybe they had $100,000 bills back then or something like that. I do think that $10,000 bills were real at one point in time. Fredo was jumpy, nervous. It's funny to me when Fredo arrives because one of the bellhops tries to take the briefcase from Fredo to help him with it. Look at how Fredo struggles to make sure that the briefcase goes nowhere. Mike lets him know that they should hang out. They go get a drink, and once again, Mike is feeling him out because he don't trust Fredo either. Why? Because he thinks Fredo is stupid. Hell, Fredo even knows that. He knows what everyone thinks of him, but there's a moment when they're talking, Fredo is clearly about to admit something to Mike. Mike knows it, and the look that Mike gives Fredo while Fredo was ordering his drink, the exact moment that he's about to set Fredo up to see what Fredo was gonna do. If Fredo was gonna blink, Fredo doesn't, but he will, he is, and he does. And he slips up major. To further confirm how dope The Godfather Part 2 is, there was never a Godfather Part 2 book written. Mario Puzo only wrote one book. From that one book, there was 2 classic, iconic movies made. One book, 2 classic movies, where the sequel was much better than the original. In conclusion, let's wrap this up. For me to go any further would me be pretty much laying out the whole damn movie, which is what I pretty much did. And for those that haven't seen it, I actually think that you should watch it. You're doing yourself a disservice by not treating yourself to this one. Treat yourself to Godfather Part 2, man. See how young Vito Andolini, becomes Vito Corleone, the dude that ultimately becomes the Godfather. Find out what happens with Fredo. My man has a complete meltdown to Mike, bears his soul to him, lets him know that he's smart, not dumb like everyone says. He's smart and he wants his respect. Epic scene, classic movie. I mean, just look at the way the actor that's playing Fredo was sitting in this chair and he does this thing with his hands and he's like, I'm not dumb like everyone says, I'm smart and I want respect.
I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart and I want respect.
And he says all of this to Mike, and Mike ain't even paying Fredo no mind. He pretty much looking at him and then he's looking out the window. And after saying all that, Mike is pretty much just like, whatever. Tell me what you know about such and such. And then you see Fredo kind of just collapse back in that chair that they sitting in the boathouse. And then even after that, he done told Mike everything he wanted to know. And then Mike pretty much is like, you know, at this point, you nothing to me. You ain't a brother, you ain't a friend, you ain't a business partner. I don't want you coming around. You're dead to me. Find out what happens between Kay and Michael. It absolutely does not get any better. After the shooting scene in the bedroom, there's a scene at the hotel where they pretty much, not gonna say that. I am gonna say that the movie ends sad, very sad across the board. Last scene, last shot, they pushing that camera in on him, and just that whole look that's on Mike's face. True acting is really about what's not said. Just the feeling that you can give in a moment of silence. And Mike's silence, sitting in that yard, sitting in that chair, as that camera pushes to his face, I mean, this dude he got to be thinking, what am I trying to do? I think even Tom said to him, he was like, what else you want, man? You won. You done beat everybody. Ain't nothing left. What are you trying to do? What do you want? And he said something. I'm gonna add it in post.
Is it worth it? I mean, you've won. You want to wipe everybody out?
I don't feel I have to wipe everybody out, Tom. Just my enemies. That's all.
Dope line, man. One spoiler alert. I've dropped a couple of spoiler alerts I give you another one. I already told you that Mama Corleone dies. But, spoiler alert, Sonny is back, Tessio is back, Carlo is back, Don Vito is back. And I'm not even talking about the Robert De Niro character. Don Vito is back, but you'll have to watch and see if you see how he actually comes back. In the usual fashion of all Godfather movies, in the end, all family business is settled across the board, be it one way or another. Love, hate, or debate, I absolutely love this movie, and I give it 4.5 black fists out of 5. Why not 5? Because all of the footage that was left on the editing room floor that's included as extras on the Blu-ray. Now that's something I don't really understand about the Godfather movies. When you look at the footage that was cut out, it's probably only about 15-20 minutes. And the 15-20 minutes that they cut out, if they would have put it back in it, you talking about a whole different movie. You got all kind of questions that might not have been answered. Mike, Apollonia, his wife from the first one. It's a whole thing. You know, I wondered, like with the way Mike's mind is, Mike is gonna actually let somebody kill his wife, blow this woman up, and he ain't gonna go back and get him? What, we ain't ever gonna deal with this dude? We're never gonna deal with this situation? Absolutely not. Wrong. My man gets found and, man, I ain't about to get into that. Dope scene though, and I'm just saying it, a whole other movie. But once again, the tragedy of the cutting room floor. All right, put a bow on this one now because it is officially a wrap. If this was your first time visiting, your attendance was much obliged and highly appreciated. My reviews will get better, and until I hit the bullseye, I'm just gonna keep throwing these darts. What I got to lose? This is all a process. It's entertainment. I'm trying to politic. As a matter of fact, man, let's network. All of the different content providers and all the YouTube people. I said before, Tony Baker, Jeremy Johns, Brandon K. Avery. Definitely can't forget Brandon. Like that brother Brandon. I think that's it. I think I hit everything. I think this will be a good one. If not, then I'm gonna get better. I ain't got nothing but time. What? Like I said, what I got to lose, man? Absolutely nothing. Somebody said the ultimate dangerous person is the person that feels that they ain't got nothing to lose. And I have taken some heavy losses in my lifetime. But at this point, man, it's, hey, man. Please like, share. Do I really want to say please? Does this sound like I'm begging? Man, please like, share, hit the subscribe button. I need to hit 25,000 subscribers. And whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below, let a brother know, and I will holler back in a few ticks. Be respectful though. I'm trying to build here.